The Cobra is the perfect example of how a finisher doesn't need to be brutal to be effective. Santino Marella turned what was essentially a comedic poke into one of the safest finishing moves in WWE history. The exaggerated setup, the crowd reaction, and the timing made the move memorable, not the impact itself. From a safety standpoint, the Cobra relies almost entirely on the opponent's sell rather than real force. The strike barely makes contact, if at all, and the wrestler taking the move controls their fall to the mat. That's why injuries from this finisher are practically non-existent. The only danger comes from mistiming the reaction, not the move itself. WWE has always needed lighthearted characters, and Santino's Cobra fit that role perfectly without putting anyone's health at risk. It proves that psychology and entertainment can outweigh physical danger. While it wouldn't work for a monster heel or main event brawler, for what it was designed to be, the Cobra is about as safe as a finisher can possibly get in professional wrestling. The rear view might not win awards for intimidation, but from a safety perspective, it's incredibly low risk. Naomi's finisher is essentially a controlled jumping hip attack where the opponent dictates how they land. The wrestler receiving the move can brace themselves with their hands, absorb the impact safely, and choose how dramatic the fall looks. There's no dangerous head or neck positioning, no awkward rotations, and no blind drops. That's what makes the rear view one of the safest finishers in WWE. The humor around the move actually works in its favor, because fans don't expect devastation, they expect timing and reaction. From Naomi's side, the move requires athleticism and balance, but not excessive force. From the opponent's side, it's almost impossible to get hurt unless something goes seriously wrong. In an era where WWE is far more conscious about long-term health, the rear view fits perfectly. It may look silly to some, but nobody is risking their career by taking it. The mandible claw looks terrifying, especially given its association with darker, more unhinged characters, but in reality it's surprisingly safe. The move targets pressure points under the tongue and along the jaw, creating the illusion of intense pain without requiring excessive force. Wrestlers are trained to apply minimal pressure while selling the effect through body language and facial expression. That's what makes the mandible claw effective without being dangerous. Unlike impact finishers, there's no bump that risks the neck, spine, or head slamming into the mat. The danger level depends almost entirely on trust and communication between the performers. As long as the aggressor knows where to place their fingers and how much pressure to apply, injuries are extremely unlikely. It's also a finisher that can be applied slowly, giving referees and wrestlers time to react if something feels off. Despite its brutal appearance, the mandible claw is a masterclass in safe illusion and old-school psychology rather than physical damage. The cutter, most famously the RKO, is a fan favorite because it looks devastating while remaining relatively safe when executed correctly. The key to the move is timing and body positioning. The wrestler taking the move essentially performs a controlled face-down bump while the attacker falls backward, distributing the impact across the mat rather than the neck. When both wrestlers land flat, the move becomes a routine bump disguised as a sudden knockout. That's why Randy Orton can hit the RKO out of nowhere, without seriously hurting opponents. The danger increases slightly with aerial versions, but the fundamentals remain the same. As long as neither wrestler spikes their head or twists mid-fall, injuries are rare. The cutter's versatility and safety are why so many wrestlers have adopted variations of it. It looks violent, feels sudden, and gets massive reactions, all without putting unnecessary strain on the body when performed by professionals. The DDT is one of wrestling's most iconic finishers and also one of its safest in basic form. Originally popularized by Jake the Snake Roberts, the standard DDT relies on the person delivering the move taking a back bump while the opponent falls forward onto the mat. When done correctly, the head never actually takes the impact. Over the years, however, wrestlers have added flashier variations that bring the head closer to the canvas, increasing the danger. That's where the risk comes in. A basic DDT is safe and reliable, but elevated or snap versions demand perfect timing. Despite decades of use, serious injuries from standard DDTs are rare, which speaks to how well-designed the move is. It's dramatic, easy to sell, and effective at any level of the card. As long as wrestlers avoid spiking the head or rushing the execution, the DDT remains a dependable and relatively low-risk finisher. The figure 4 is painful, no doubt about it, but dangerous? Not really. Ric Flair's legendary submission finisher focuses on controlled pressure rather than sudden impact. The pain is real, especially in the shin and knee area, but it's largely manageable and temporary. Wrestlers taking the move can adjust how much pressure they absorb by shifting their hips or legs. That's what makes it safe despite how brutal it looks. There's very little risk of catastrophic injury unless the move is applied recklessly, which is rare at the professional level. The Figure 4's brilliance lies in how it tells a story, the agony, the desperation, the reversal attempts. It's a finisher that hurts without harming. Compared to aerial moves or head impact finishers, the Figure 4 is one of the safest submissions in WWE history while still feeling legitimate and intense. The chokeslam looks monstrous, especially when performed by giants like Kane, Big Show, or The Undertaker, but safety depends on teamwork. The wrestler taking the move must jump high enough to assist the lift, allowing the attacker to guide them safely down. When done properly, the opponent lands flat on their back, minimizing risk. The danger comes from poor timing or lack of lift, which can cause awkward falls. Still, because the move is slow and controlled, wrestlers have time to adjust mid-execution. That's why the chokeslam has been used for decades, with relatively few injuries. It's visually impressive, without requiring excessive force. As long as both performers communicate and commit, the chokeslam remains a powerful yet reasonably safe finisher in WWE. The pedigree is a move that evolved for safety. Early versions were more dangerous because Triple H kept the opponent's arms hooked, preventing them from protecting their face. Once he began releasing the arms mid-air, the move became much safer. This allowed wrestlers to brace their fall with their hands, rather than risking facial or neck impact. The pedigree still looks brutal, but the mechanics are carefully controlled. The opponent lands stomach first, spreading the force across the body. Timing and trust are critical, but when executed properly, the risk is moderate rather than extreme. It's a great example of WWE adapting a finisher to protect talent while maintaining visual impact. The super kick is deceptively dangerous. In theory, it's a light thrust kick with minimal contact, enhanced by a thigh slap for sound. In practice, timing mistakes can lead to real kicks to the face. That's where the risk lies. Wrestlers like Shawn Michaels perfected the move by leaning away at the last second, protecting their opponent. Still, even slight miscalculations can cause dental or facial injuries. Despite this, the superkick is safer than it looks when performed by experienced wrestlers. Its danger comes from repetition and overuse, not the move itself. When executed cleanly, it's dramatic, sudden, and effective without being catastrophic. The sharpshooter is a submission that naturally causes discomfort. The pain increases the more the opponent struggles, especially in the lower back and legs. However, serious injuries are unlikely. Wrestlers control how much pressure is applied, and the move unfolds slowly, allowing communication if something feels wrong. Iconic moments like Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13 show real pain, but not long-term damage. The sharpshooter hurts, but it doesn't cripple. That balance makes it effective and relatively safe compared to impact finishers. The GTS sits closer to the danger zone because of knee-to-face contact. Ideally, the opponent lands on the thigh, not the knee. Mistiming can lead to broken noses or concussions. That's why precision is crucial. When done correctly, the move looks devastating with controlled impact. When done wrong, it's risky. The GTS relies heavily on trust and timing, making it one of the more dangerous finishers in this range. The spear mimics a football tackle, which brings inherent risk. Concussions and shoulder injuries have occurred, but considering how often it's used, it's relatively safe. The key is aiming high in the midsection and sweeping the legs cleanly. Poor execution turns it into a collision. When done right, it's explosive without being reckless. If you like this video, so don't forget to subscribe this channel.